missed it, just barely. Almost got it a little bit. You got two. You can get the third one. Oh no! Oh my god. Landed in the mouth. Finally! Alright. All right. Welcome to FaBled Hunters.
I'm Yuanji.
I'm Saint.
And today we're going to talk about organized play.
Organized play. My favorite topic. You know how I am about organized play as a 98% collector, right?
This is a topic I think a lot of other creators have already released their videos talking about this.
Okay.
But if you're not like really following flesh and blood competitive play very closely, you might not get like the full picture.
Sure.
So basically, the first like public update is that they changed the pricing for Worlds. It used to be at Pro Tour events. If you get top 32, you get a PTI.
Okay.
PTIs are basically invites that you can hold on to, you can transfer, you can like sell them.
Yeah, Pro Tour Invitational, or Invitation, right?
Yeah, well, it's like a professional tournament invite, so you can use it for nationals, you can use it to queue for Worlds, you can use it to queue for a Pro Tour.
Okay.
The change that they made, I don't want to say it's like a last second change, but it's like a pretty recent change.
Okay.
That they made. At the time that this airs, probably will be around Worlds time. Is that instead of awarding a Pro Tour, a PTI, they're awarding a Pro Tour invite to the next Pro Tour, which is going to be in London.
Okay.
So it's like a pretty big change in terms of kind of EV for the players. And they're, by the time this releases, maybe some more information, I think some more information will be coming out. I think they're supposed to release like an update on like 2025 OP.
Sure.
Trevor Baker was on a podcast where I think it was Baz's podcast, where he said that there's going to be some announcements that they're going to make later on, which might make some of the changes clearer.
Okay.
I mean, like if the system worked the same way that it does right now, basically for every like Pro Tour, Worlds, Nationals type event, they also Nationals maybe they don't, but like they usually award like ELO qualifications. So top like 50, whatever, 100 players on the ELO leaderboard.
Okay.
Get an invite.
Yeah, kind of like in chess, right?
Yeah, but the problem is that if you're making top 32 of Worlds, you kind of already have an invite like locked up from ELO.
Okay.
For the next Pro Tour, like if you top 32 Worlds and then you just like don't play any more events, this is kind of what I did for like between Pro Tour and Amsterdam. I didn't get top 32. I got like top. I got like 33rd or 35th or something.
Okay.
I didn't have to play like a single event to queue for Worlds.
Really?
Yeah, I'm just like queued off of ELO.
But I mean, it benefited you, but are you attempting to say that that's something good or something bad, that they're changing this?
Well, I'm just saying that like the invite that they give out for the next Pro Tour is essentially like has no value if they had the same system.
Okay.
Because you'd be queued in on ELO anyways. Which leads me to believe that they're gonna kind of revamp like the whole ELO qualification system. But the reason why I brought this change up is because it kind of impacts it impacts the, I guess, like the EV for people who are attending these highest level competition tournaments. And it kind of like, it changes the kind of the landscape for a lot of organized play. So the predominant opinion that I've heard around the circles that I'm in before
From like players, competitors, and
yeah,
pros,
before
right?
any more information comes out, is that they almost all view the change negatively because it's impacting like the prizes that they win. Like they're essentially going to win less prizes.
Well, let's just to call a spade and make the viewers aware.
Yeah.
I mean, if I know this, most people know this, but just to call it out, the PTIs up until today have been viewed as essentially an asset to be traded around for money.
Yeah, they're worth
right?
they're worth like between like $800 to $1,000.
$800 to $1,000. Of course, pros don't like it because now the invitation is name locked or probably gem number locked to your individual account. So they're taking away a presumable asset or 32 copies of this asset per Pro Tour level event.
Yeah,
right?
and the other thing is that, like, let's say if you weren't planning or you didn't have the vacation days or whatever to go to London, then it's wasted, right?
Oof.
Like, you can't like bank it.
You can't bank it. You can't save it. You can't trade it.
Yeah. So that's like.
Is that all bad though, or is there a silver lining there?
Well, so I actually think it's a positive change, but
oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but we'll get it. Well, I'm just explaining the situation first.
I got it.
So that's kind of like the opinion, but so I wanted to first kind of talk about. I want to talk about my experience in Magic the Gathering trying to qualify for the Pro Tour, and then I'll kind of back it up with how I feel about these changes for Flesh and Blood organized play moving forward. But so when I was playing Magic, it was like a really big deal to qualify for the Pro Tour. There are like when I was playing Magic, I think there were probably, in terms of like the total like competitive player base, I would guess anywhere between 5 to 20 times as many people like actively going to like all these tournaments. As in Flesh and Blood currently. I think Pro Tour were capped to around like 200 something players. For comparison, an average Flesh and Blood Pro Tour is like just under 400 players, and the last Worlds was a little bit over 400 players. I don't even want to think about Magic Worlds. I think Magic Worlds was like a 32 person tournament or something like that.
Wow.
And you had to have like, there were very specific qualifications. You either had to be like the best player in your region, win the most points in like GPs, which is like the equivalent of a calling.
Okay.
You had to be like on their leaderboard. You had to be like the best like rookie rookie of the year or like whatever. So there's like way fewer slots. So like there's a big delineation between Worlds and Pro Tours. But even just like qualifying for the Pro Tour, just like getting into the tournament is considered a big achievement.
Sure.
The only ways that you really had to do it is you had to like win a Pro Tour qualifier, which is like the equivalent of, I would say the Battle Hardens are like the closest, except imagine you have to like win the Battle Harden to queue for the Pro Tour.
Okay.
So you have to win one of these types of events, or you have to top 8 a calling level event.
Wow. Okay.
Or you had to like accumulate enough points, and the only way that you had to accumulate like 20 pro points or something, and to accumulate 20 pro points, there were more callings in Magic than there were in Flesh and Blood, but it's like you have to top 32
multiple ones.
You have to top 32 like 20 callings, for example.
Yeah.
Or if you get like top 16, then that's like an extra one.
Yeah.
So think about like how
top 8, 5 of them, or top 16, 10 of them, or top 32, 20 of them.
Well, if you top 8, you automatically get 1 Q.
Okay.
And then at the Pro Tour, you also get like a point, I think, per winners or something like that.
Yep.
But it was just like, it's very difficult to even get to this point.
Okay.
Flesh and Blood, I feel personally very fortunate that I started playing Flesh and Blood like very early on.
Yep.
So there's a lot of like momentum behind being like having a skill advantage against the rest of the player base just from getting in the game earlier.
Yeah.
But then also I think like the way to get queued in was also easier. Like you just had to be like top whatever like XP earning at the beginning.
Had to play a lot. You didn't necessarily have to be good. Right?
Yeah. So you had like XP qualifications at the beginning. You have stuff like winning a Pro Quest is just like winning like a 16 to 32 person tournament. Okay. Way different than winning like a 100 to 200 person tournament in terms of difficulty. It scales exponentially every time the tournament size doubles. Yeah, it's twice as hard to get in. So just like think about that. And so I spent I spent 2 years playing competitive Magic. Funnily enough, I queued for the Pro Tour. The very first GP I ever played, I got a record that was good enough to qualify for the Pro Tour. Okay. And then I spent the next 2 years trying to queue for a second one, and I just could never get it. Wow. Just to give an idea of how difficult it is. There's plenty of really, really good players.
Yeah, because the game's mature. It's a mature market, and it's a huge market. There might even be at that time probably 500,000 or more people actively trying to pursue the Pro Tour?
Yeah, I'll give a good example. Nathan Stewart is one of my friends who plays Magic. He was the last Magic World Champion, and he also, I think, won a Pro Tour, or he like finaled a Pro Tour. I don't remember. Last year.
Yep.
And he's off the train. Like, he's just not qualified.
Wow.
He tried to qualify at the last regional championship, like, didn't get in.
Okay.
So it's just like, you know, you fall off, like, you fall off hard.
Quick. Yep.
And it's like hard to, like, you know, stay on the train. And so I think that, you know, you contrast that in Flesh and Blood, and like, I'm gonna be honest, like, with the way that the PTI system is, like, you can buy your way in, as well as, you know, just like how, I guess, like, easy it is to qualify if you're like at a certain skill threshold for your region. I see the same people at like every single one of these like Pro Tours and Worlds.
You're not the only one. I see the same people at the same tables all the time. Like, there's gonna be at every single major tournament, sometimes like almost every single calling.
Yeah.
I see the same 50 faces internationally all the time, and that's not a knock on any of the 50 people. I'm just saying that it's kind of like once you're in, you're automatically in, or because of your circle of friends, you can like trade PTIs.
Yeah, you trade PTIs, people like block for each other at ProQuest, whatever. There's just like a lot of things like for the people who aren't like in the phrase that was used in Magic before is like old boys club. If you're not,
that's used everywhere, not just the Magic.
Okay, yeah. If you're not in the old boys club, like, it's just much harder for you to get in.
Yep.
And it's just like an accumulation of momentum. It's like because you did well, now you have like 1 or 2 PTIs banked up, so you're just like, you're good for another like half a year to a year. Because like I get top 32 at a Pro Tour, I'm automatically queued for the next one. Plus I get a PTI, then I can play the Worlds even if I do badly at the next one.
You don't have to grind the whole year.
Yeah, exactly. So there's just like all these factors which makes it, you know, super easy to just like keep it rolling.
And I think this is a function of competitive Flesh and Blood having come out of the post-COVID era and ramping up. It was necessary for a mechanism to keep as many actively engaged players within that professional system or that competitive system as possible. Now, quick question. The PTIs that have been produced in the past, LSS is not burning them, right? There'll be legacy PTIs.
Yeah. I don't think that they're getting burned. I think you can still earn PTIs, at least as far as I know, like through callings and stuff. Maybe that'll get updated as well.
Okay.
But basically, like, you know, you have players like Brody. I think Brody and Michael have like 20 plus like banked up each, like, per person.
Really?
Yeah. And then as far as I know, like, more people attended Worlds in Flesh and Blood than attended either Pro Tour because the Worlds prize money is higher and the PTI is, you know, the same.
Yeah.
So a lot of people just like bought PTIs to play Worlds.
And the counter argument, just I have to put in my collector hat here. If there are no PTIs moving forward, don't Brody and Michael's PTIs that are banked up become worth more money because of supply and demand?
I think so, probably.
Right?
Yeah.
Congrats, guys.
Yeah, but like, I think all of these things, I'm just like telling the story to kind of paint the picture of what I think is a flawed system.
In the past.
Yeah.
Everything up till now.
That currently exists.
Okay.
And, you know, I think for the health of the game, it's really important, I think, in any competitive game, for aspirational players to have like a realistic path to play in these tournaments.
Okay.
Like, if you want to put in the effort to grind it out, like, there's no reason why I should qualify for the tournament, having played like no tournaments in the last season to go to Osaka. Okay. Versus, you know, some guy who's like there every single week, and then whenever like
LGS,
there's a Pro Quest, when there's a Pro Quest season, they go to play like every single one.
Yeah.
There's no reason why I should be able to just like get in from playing like none of these tournaments. Obviously, like this system benefits me.
Yeah.
But
that's very selfless of you.
But yeah, but I don't think that it makes sense. Like these guys who are in the trenches who are grinding to try to get like a shot, like they should have like a real chance to like qualify for these tournaments.
Okay.
So I think like overall the change, making PTIs more scarce. You know, there's like a lot of chatter in Runaways about how people think it's unfair because if they don't want to attend like London, maybe that'll impact like their ability to play Worlds. And I'm like, dude, like Worlds is a privilege to be able to play in a World
It's not an
Championship.
entitlement.
Yeah, it's like a privilege to be able to play in like a World Championship. So like whatever like the method of qualification, like it kind of makes sense that you have to just like keep like rolling these events. And sure, like I feel for all the people who like, you don't have the vacation days, you don't want to like spend the money to go to London, like whatever. Like
then
that's
go to
your
your LGS, go to callings, go to regionals, and do more. I'm a fan of every single runaway, but I don't have to be on their side in terms of opinion.
Yeah,
I agree with you. And I'll go back to say it, like during that time of rolling out of COVID, the organized play system of Flesh and Blood needed some way to achieve critical mass.
Yeah.
Right? So that the first calling, the Las Vegas calling, after the Monarch release, that was like a big deal. It's like, hey, everybody, just show up to the calling, show up to the calling, show up to the calling. And then they're going to give more prizes. And then after that, running through year 2 of organized play, which culminated in the U.S. Nationals, right? That was a way for people to, easy engagement, easy to come in. During that time, I would only argue that maybe there's only 1,000 to 5,000 active organized play players then.
Yeah.
And 3 years later, or 2 years later, 2 and change, years later, 2+ years later, maybe there's not just 5,000 players. Maybe there's 50,000 players or 100,000 active players. I don't know what the player base is worldwide.
Yeah.
But going back to the same theme that I've said time and again, we need to trust Legend Story Studios that they're making the right decisions, not for Yuanji, not for Saint, not for Brody or Mike, but for all of the players, the entire ecosystem of Flesh and Blood.
Yeah.
Right?
I would like for them to make the system where it feels like really rewarding to get to play in one of these like top level events. That it doesn't feel like it's kind of a given once you like hit a certain level of competitiveness to play in these events.
Yeah.
I would like for them to make a bigger disparity, I think, between Worlds and Pro Tours.
Meaning separate Worlds and Pro Tours from callings, right?
Well, separate Worlds from Pro Tours.
Really?
And separate, yeah.
I thought they're already separated by money denomination.
Well, they are, but I'm saying like Worlds last year is like 400 people playing. Pro Tour is like 390 people. It's like they're the same tournament.
Okay.
It's just one has like more money attached to it.
I understand.
So that's what I mean. I want them to like separate. Like Worlds should be
its own path to qualification.
Its own like thing. It should be, I think, like a little bit like higher prestige.
Okay.
Even than Pro Tours, or just like whatever. Just call them all Pro Tours. Have 3 Pro Tours and have Worlds be something separate. I don't know. Whatever the case is, that's what I'm hoping for the future. I'm hoping that, and this is kind of coinciding. I have a follow-up point on something that I don't think that Legend Story Studios is doing such a great job in organized play of doing right now. But hopefully this gets.
Yuanji's got some spicy takes today.
Hopefully this gets addressed in their 2025 update. But I feel like for the lower level events, like Battle Hardens, and even like ProQuest Road to Nationals.
Okay.
I think that there's just like there's not enough sauce that's being given out to kind of incentivize players to really engage in these. I was at the SCG Con in Washington D.C. The other day, and Battle Harden is like the premier event, and I would argue that Washington D.C. is not like. Or like Maryland's not like a super difficult place to get to.
Sure.
But only like 100 people playing Flesh and Blood on the weekend. And it's just one of those things where in Magic, if they were holding like a PTQ type of event at one of these SCG cons, at the height of tournament Magic when I was playing it, I would find it difficult for there to be for there to be fewer than like 200-300 people playing it. Yeah. Even though the prizes for Battle Hardens now are better than the prizes for PTQs back then. Back then, PTQs, you just like fuck off if you don't win first place.
Oh, really?
Like people are just playing for that invite. That's how crazy like getting an invite to the Pro Tour was.
But that's the difference of having 20 times the competitive players in a TCG. What Flesh and Blood has.
Yeah, so I would make the argument because I know. When I started playing Flesh and Blood, there's a lot of faces that, they fell out of favor because I think one of the biggest draws to Flesh and Blood when people were playing at the beginning is that, you know, you go to an RTN, you got top 8, you win like a really valuable cold foil hero token.
Or like an Icelander, right?
Yeah. Well, that's if you win, but you also get like FaB, like a draw my cold foil hero card.
Okay.
That's worth like a decent amount of money. You go to like these events, and then you do well. You get like something exciting, even if you don't win the tournament.
Okay.
Even at the local level, and I feel like the way that they've done prize cards. So, like, awarding prize cards for people for placing at these types of tournaments is, in my opinion, a pretty tested, successful marketing strategy in 2024. A lot of games are doing it. One Piece is probably, like, the most successful at doing this, but there's One Piece, there's Lorcana. I think the Star Wars Unlimited is also doing something similar to this.
Okay.
Where they're awarding prize cards. And I think that like the framework for this already exists in Flesh and Blood, where you can kind of tell like what are going to be like really good promo cards to give out, and it doesn't have to be heroes. Like I understand, okay, the niche for heroes now, they're the marbles that you open in boxes, right?
Yep.
So it doesn't really make a lot of sense to give out cold foil heroes. But let's say in Rosetta, there's a bunch of like really powerful majestics. There's like Plow Under, Felling the Crown. There's the lightning card that like goes back to your hand, the 0 for 4. Okay. There's channel lightning value, whatever. Like the people at LSS aren't dumb. Like they know what the good cards are.
Sure.
And so to award, let's say, you know, like how the Pro Tour champion card, it says Pro Tour in the text, right? Yeah. Like what is it like? What if there's like a Battle Hardened one where it just like says Battle Hardened as like a
season 2024?
As like a ink mark. In the background of the text box or whatever, and you printed like a promo version of Felling the Crown.
Well, we've got an example just a couple months ago. That Deathmatch Arena Kasai card is relatively celebrated, right? The 62 or 58 copies of that Kasai.
Yeah.
That thing's $2,500 to $3,000, and that's a good example of a promo card. I don't like it. I don't have one, and I don't want one, but. It's still a very celebrated card throughout the community.
But I think, honestly, you know, the fact that those cards are going for $2,000 to $3,000 and that you don't want them, I think is a positive sign in that direction because...
What does me not wanting them have anything to do with it?
Well, it means that... So, you know, the common thought is that, collecting in Flesh and Blood is dead. It's like, no, I don't think collecting in Flesh and Blood is dead. I think that they haven't done a good job of making, like, really nice collectibles. You know, I kind of went off about like the gold foils, and I think we filmed a previous video where I think the gold foil envelopes are just like really bad in execution because I think it's I don't want to use the word insulting, but it's just like
deflating, demoralizing.
When you win a prize for winning a tournament, I don't think it makes a lot of sense for you to go through a lot of variants and to have to get lucky in winning the tournament, for them to award you a pack that introduces luck again, where your prize card now ranges from being worth like $20 or like $50. I don't know how much the Bone Vizier is.
125, 150, yeah.
Yeah.
To like over 1,000.
Yeah, like even if the Bone Vizier market value, like the listed price is like $100, I'd be surprised if you could easily move it for more than $50. Like it to a card that's worth like $1,000.
I'll buy Bone Viziers and Coats of Frost for $100. I'll double the market.
No,
I'm serious, I will.
Yeah, but that's why I mean what I mean when I say like I think it's a good sign that if you like you don't want it.
Yeah.
But it's still like it's going for 2-3K, right?
Okay.
So I'm not saying like obviously like Command and Conquer. Like everybody knows, like if they print a Command and Conquer,
that's an awesome card. There's scarcity there.
It's going to be an awesome card.
If it was Dorinthia Command and Conquer, that would be different.
Yeah,
right?
But I don't think it has to be. It doesn't have to be like $1,000 or $2,000. But it's just like there's like targets, right? Like if you printed a promo version of like a Chase Majestic from Rosetta, I would have a hard time believing that it would go for less than $50.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, no, I've got a counter argument that doesn't necessarily conflict with your argument. I do think they need to make prize cards better. And I do think organized play promos need to be thought out better.
Yeah.
But the first thing in response to your discussion of the feels bad of battle hardened or lower tier gold foils.
Yeah.
I tend to disagree. I love that experience in gold foils, and the individual, the winner, doesn't have to gamble. The winner can sell it to a collector, and collectors like me and foil degen and open boosters, they can take on the risk. And I'll speak for all three of us, we love that risk. This reminds me of going into a dungeon, like doing a dungeon raid in Warcraft, World of Warcraft, or going through a party in Diablo and kicking the crap out of the last boss. And it's true feast or famine. Like, you could open up a chest and there could be literally an HP potion that you could buy at the level 1 town inn. Yeah. Or there could be like the majestic, holy armor of the whale's crest, something with enchantments on it. Like, that whole range, that's what brings you back to the dungeon, and that's what brings you back. And people don't have to open it up and take the risk of opening the Code of Frost. It's like, oh, now you gotta sell the collector Code of Frost. You could sell that risk and that variance to somebody else, and that's what makes for a fun and engaging collector's market.
Yeah, but I would argue that the problem is that your sentiment isn't, I think, shared by enough people, because I know that I've been approached by a bunch of competitive players, and yeah, like, everybody knows it's better to sell the envelope sealed. Mm-hmm. I think it actually is like technically higher EV to open the envelope, but that's only if you sell the gold foils at market value.
But who's actually buying the gold foils at market value?
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I think so. Like
Snapdragon scalers and the really, really good ones. Sure, right?
Yeah. Well, so my argument is that I think that everybody knows that it's better to sell like the envelopes.
Yep.
But I would make the argument that it's also just like, I don't think that the market really exists, like an organic market for these envelopes. Because it doesn't really exist outside of like a select few individuals. I think if you play Flesh and Blood a lot, like there's only like a select handful of individuals. Let's just call it sub 50 individuals.
Sure, sub 50.
Who are actively looking to buy these envelopes.
Yep.
And I just don't think that is as healthy as them awarding prize cards that have more known quantity that a wider variety of people would want to collect.
Okay, like going back and doing like a cold foil Enlightened Strike or something just from tournaments, for example.
Yeah, but I don't even think that it's important to like dip that far back into their like. I don't think that they need to like dip that far back into to try to like milk value out of like their like reprint equity or whatever. What I'm saying is that there's cards that are printed in every set that are really powerful cards. Levels of Enlightenment from MST, right? Mm-hmm. They made an extended art version of it, whatever.
What if it was an extended art cold foil version of it?
Yeah, what if it was an extended art cold foil version? What if the extended art just like wasn't in the pack, but you awarded it as a promo? Mm-hmm. What if it was an extended art, but it had, whatever the name of like the tournament series was, in like so it's like a step up.
Or it was in seasonal, like summer 25 or winter 25.
Yeah, or it has like a different like color palette in the art. Like I don't it doesn't matter. Like whatever the case is, there's ways for the company, I think, to economically infuse more value in it for the tournament goers, while also not feeling like it's a cash grab kind of thing. And I think that it's a shame, because I think that battle hardens at this point are kind of underutilized. I've heard feedback from people who talk to LSS individuals that they think that the battle hardens are in an okay spot. Okay. But my personal opinion is that I feel like battle hardens, in terms of frequency of events, are probably occurring as frequently as you would want like an active player base to want to go to. Like they happen, I think, maybe like once or twice a month.
Okay.
Right? And for a community that's like really actively trying to go to these events, to make it like more worthwhile for them to go to these events, I think is a bonus. I think it's like a real negative if people would rather play in their ProQuest in Maryland over taking like a 30-minute drive, to go to SEG Con to play in a battle harden, because, I'm playing for like top 2 to get a PTI, or I get like shit, versus I can play in my like 20-person tournament to try to get an invite to the Pro Tour, and I'm getting like the same reward.
Well, there are two things here I have to say that I've always, mentioned to you and to others. Why don't they just include money or collect money and then charge, because they're charging money, they have a prize pool for Battle Hardens. That would fix part of the problem. And on top of that, expand the prize pool to, let's say, all the top 8 get this really awesome seasonal promo on top of playing for a gold foil.
Yeah, I think the cash aspect is a logistical problem because currently tournament cash prizes are paid out of the LSS marketing budget.
Okay.
So there's some like anti-gambling laws and stuff like that. I think that you have to like skirt around, that you can't like offer like a portion of the collected money.
Convert it into sealed product and it becomes an entry fee, and then the local game store basically sells boxes. That's a solve, right?
Sure. No, I think that there's like ways that you can do it, but I know at least like adding cash prizes is like firmly like a no-go.
But they do it at the calling.
No, they don't.
They have cash prizes at the calling.
Yeah, but it's a fixed amount that's set by LSS.
Yes.
I'm saying tournament organizers cannot add extra cash prizes.
Oh.
Yeah. Like
okay.
they offer cash prizes to top 8 and Battle Harden as well.
Okay.
But I think it's like $50 to top 8, like $100. I think it might be like two. It might be like two. Like
they've done that since recently.
Yeah. Like top two get 500, and then I think like top 4 gets 250, and then like top 8 might get like $100 or something like that.
Okay.
But I think like the problem is like to get top 8 is like, sure, like you make like top like 7%, and then you get like 1.7 extra entry. Not to count like the traveling costs or anything. I think the main problem is that I just feel like the tournament as a product is just underdeveloped. I don't know if that makes sense.
It
the
does.
way that I'm describing.
No,
it.
I hear you.
And I think like the same is true for like ProQuest. Like I think that there's no reason why ProQuest shouldn't all be like capped out like everywhere. At least the ones that I know of in our local area, I believe, are doing really well in terms of attendance. But that's my only complaint about organized play, because I see what the other card games are doing really well, and I think it's that they're monetizing or creating the right incentive structure to continually grow out their game. And like, for example, in One Piece, like you cannot get into like any kind of like One Piece event that awards card prizes. You just cannot sign up for them more than like a day or two when the posting goes up.
Because of how popular it is.
Yeah, because of how popular it is. And Flesh and Blood, at least at this point, I think doesn't have that same level of excitement. And I think part of it is tied to the incentive structure.
I'm fiddling around with cards because I have a more macro argument that ties in with your argument about promos. The really awesome part about promos early on in the game of Flesh and Blood was that something like a Findal's Spring Tunic Rainbow Foil, which was, I think, Road to National Season 2021, that was really great because people were fighting for that one promo, and there was a limited amount of that one promo. What else? Fate Foreseen, the traditional Chinese Fate Foreseen. You had to enter into a couple of events that were regional to get that Fate Foreseen promo, and that card is worth hundreds of dollars now. Now, fast forward to 2023 and 2024, like, these were the promos that I got from attending Flesh and Blood events in the past 12 months. And while I appreciate being invited to these events, and I appreciate traveling and seeing more of the world, I think that less is more. I've always been a believer that less is more. And if I go to a world premiere, again, I love getting these cards. I love Oasis Respite, the Japanese world premiere version. I love getting the Slither and Hiss and the gear in promos. I love getting these Sacred Arts. This is awesome, except look, I just mentioned like 7 or 8 cards. Oh, I loved getting the Japanese art, alt art Enigma Rainbow Foil, but that's like 8, 9, 10 cards that are getting promos that are getting pushed into the market. And I'm a big believer of less is more. If only one promo got released at once, that would reduce the amount of SKUs and reduce the amount of glut in the market. Now, all of these cards coming out of these events, I don't know what the secondary market value is specifically, but some of those cards that I listed are probably $2 to $10. Whereas back in the days events, those promos would be worth a lot more. And just the fact that promos are overloading the collector pool makes everybody feel meh about the promos. Because in the early days, if you get one participation promo per event, and now players have access to 6, 8, 10 promos per event, that means as the player pool is increasing, as the attendee pool is increasing, you're increasing the number of promos, the supply of each individual promo, and then you're further diluting it by creating a whole vertical, multiple SKUs of promos coming from the same event, which dilutes the value of the individual promo. So that's a macro. You see what I'm saying? If there's a promo getting printed and it's cool, that will be valuable. But if they keep issuing 8, 10 promos per season or per event, maybe teens, 20, 30 promos per quarter in different SKUs, then eventually everybody will just have stacks and stacks and stacks of promos and nobody cares.
Yeah, I don't see it as being a big deal if the promo cards are worth playing.
Mm-hmm.
It depends. So I think there's a certain amount of equity that exists in your card game.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you print a promo, depending on how in demand that card is,
mm-hmm.
it's going to be worth a certain market cap or whatever, however much people are willing to pay. And I think that how do you best utilize it? Does it really make sense? Okay, sure, you print a promo version of some rare that people play and you hand it out as a participation prize. Sure, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You give out these sacred arts as calling. I think they were either FaBled package, or I think it was FaBled package for buying the FaBled package, and you give out for buying FaBled package. Sure, I'm okay with that. But then there are other levels, right? So okay, when you use the sacred arts, okay, now you lose the equity of being able to use that as a prize card, right?
Yeah.
So you have to look further, and okay, is there some other card in the set that should be the prize card?
Yep.
Maybe because LSS knows, okay, this is going to be the chase card
mm-hmm.
For the set. So maybe we make the chase card the prize award. I don't have a huge problem with them printing a bunch of different promos if there's the understanding that the participation promos, whatever, it's just a nice $10 to $20 little extra juicer on top of your entry fee.
Okay.
I don't have a big problem with that, but I have a big problem with them not really capitalizing on what they have available to them. So in MST, it would be Levels of Enlightenment. I think in Rosetta, what would it be? It would probably have to be something like Felling the Crown, but I think that they ended up using that as their FaBled package promo, for example.
It is? Okay.
I believe so. And it's just I feel your for the world premiere, it was I think you either get a Channel Lightning Valley or a Channel Millennium Tree.
Okay.
Something like that. And it's just these are gonna be the corner pieces of the decks that you're coming out with in the set,
mm-hmm.
and it just it makes so much more sense to have staple cards be awarded as prizes. I don't know if it has to be Majestic. It could be it's hard to come up with examples in Flesh and Blood of staple rares
mm-hmm.
that go in every deck, but I mean, I'm sure that those also exist. I know when the Ravenous Rabble came out, that was really big.
That was pretty big until it wasn't, right?
Yeah, but it was they used the Ravenous Rabble as a participation prize.
Yeah.
And it's just I think that there's levels that aren't being fully utilized. They reprinted Sigil of Solace three different times
mm-hmm.
with different arts, and it's just yeah, Sigil of Solace is good, but you can only use it so many times.
Yeah.
So I think that they really need to think about how it is that they can like provide, like, if you're going to take away value from the players in the form of PTIs, which I think is a good thing. I think that pulling value away from just the idea of like playing in the events and more in terms of, you know, the cards that people are playing with is actually like a net positive. I know at like One Piece they award like top 32 prize cards for like some tournaments, and like the top 32 prize cards are worth like hundreds of dollars or something like that.
Okay.
And sure, obviously in Flesh and Blood, if you make top 32 at a calling, you get like cash.
Yeah.
And then that's maybe you're saying like that's the equivalent or whatever. But what I'm saying is that the total cost to the publisher, in my opinion, is not that high, and it's just like an easy way to drive more like collectability. Like you want to create an avenue for people who want to invest more money into playing the game. It's proven that people like playing with, you know, higher rarity, like fancy versions of cards.
Yeah, that's true.
And so you want a way for them to engage with the game, but I feel like right now, the way that they engage with that, it's like you could buy gold foils, which are like all the way up there for like the ones that are good, or it's like these ones that they give out as participation prizes.
Well, all I'm saying is, look, for this example, it's wage gold in 3 pitches, right? If they only printed out 1 wage gold and didn't give out 3, people won't complain because this is the only one that's available, right?
Yeah.
Instead, this floods the market with 3 times the amount of SKUs and the amount of cards. If they just only printed the red pitch wage gold, and this was actually, I don't even know if this card is playable, but if it was,
not really.
It's not really playable, then sure, you get 1 participation award. You don't have to give out these little packs and flood the market with 3 times the value. Like another pack was Talk a Big Game, Double Down, and Runner Runner. If they only printed Runner Runner, which this is a playable card, right? Semi?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Runner Runner, they just print Runner Runner, and that's it. And they don't have to print 3 times the amount of promos, and it wouldn't give the collectors like kind of collector overload, where it's like, how many SKUs of this card are going to come out?
I don't know.
How many promo SKUs are going to come out, making each individual instance of a promo more special, which would feed up into the value of the competitive play promos, because there would still be some scarcity.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think that only applies for people like you who are like completionist collectors.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, because I think it makes a lot of sense for them to offer like all these like different types of promos for different decks. Because, you know, like the deck that plays Double Down is not going to be the same deck that plays Runner Runner, is not going to be the same deck that plays...
But no deck plays Wage Gold, right? That goes back to my original point, which sometimes different pitches don't make sense.
I think that's like an executional issue in terms of when they're like designing like which cards are going to be the promos.
Okay.
I think whatever, that's a promo that wasn't... It wasn't the right card to pick.
Mm-hmm.
But you see, like, I don't have a problem with them printing a lot of different SKUs because, you know, different people are going to want different ones, and I don't think it's a big deal if each individual promo is worth, like, I'm not saying that the promos have to be worth like $50 to $100 like $200, like that's not the point.
Okay.
The point is that that they're not really giving out promos for placing at tournaments, which I think is lost value, and that the ones that they do give out, I think, are poorly executed.
Meaning they should give out more meaningful and more playable and more desirable promos for the ones that earn it through competitive play.
Yeah, like
than just show up to the door and here's a stack of promos.
Yeah, like even down the line, like it doesn't have to be top 8. It can be like the top 16 to top 32. For like callings, maybe top 64. You got like a promo card. What I've seen in the other games, what this does is that it provides like a tangible type of reward that people are playing for.
Yep.
And that people are like, it's not like, oh, I'm trying to win the calling or make top 8 or bust. I'm not trying to like earn this like PTI or whatever. I'm trying to win a promo.
Okay.
So I am more willing to like engage in this organized play. Because like, it sounds kind of dumb, but like winning a $200 card, I think for a lot of people who play card games, is more meaningful than winning $200.
Okay.
Because it's like, okay, I'm spending $300-400 to play in this tournament. I like travel, I buy a hotel. I pay the entry fee.
You got the experience. You met good people.
Yeah, and my reward is 200, like two Benjamin Franklins.
Okay.
Versus, I'm playing for an Enlightened Strike or something that I can't get. I mean, obviously I can get it. I'll buy it.
Secondary
but it's just like it's like a mental block.
It's a trophy. It's a trophy,
you know
and it brings sentimental value, and it actually touches that collector that I would argue is in every single player within the market.
And, I think that's the reason, and this is, if anybody from LSS watches this, that's like my only message. It's that I think that the other card games that are doing like card prizes as promos and aren't doing cash, obviously there's people on the other side of the aisle also arguing that, you know, I know for Yu-Gi-Oh! That they do like, they have some events that award card prizes, but then like for their like calling level events, people complain that, oh, like, well, when you win first place, you get like a Nintendo Wii and no cash prizes. I'm not saying that like the way that LSS does prizes is bad. But what I'm saying is that you gotta like take what you're doing well and then also take what other people are doing well
and adapt.
Yeah, because the promo cards as prizes meta, I think, has already proven itself in 2024 to be a successful one in driving tournament attendance and excitement for playing the game in general.
For sure. Okay, well, we've been going a little long. I didn't know that promo thing would elicit even more debate or dispute among us than the first matter about the change in organized play. But hopefully you guys like this topic. This is definitely a Yuanji topic, but let us know what your thoughts are. Let us know if my opinions are out of line or some of Yuanji's opinions are out of line. We appreciate the viewership. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, twiddle that notification button, support us on Patreon so we can continue the discussion. And your support goes to Yuanji and his support of the FaBled Runaways. Let's go Runaways, everybody. All right, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Show us what you won. It's a big Bulbasaur. He did it by the ball game. Billy was tossing some blue balls. You ready for the next game?